What's up, guys? How we doing on a Tuesday night? Little hangout, live Q&A. Shout out to, got a couple people actually. Looks like some memberships going on here. Let me get to those real quick. Got a Nate Bowden, the Let's Run It, and a Peter Valencia, Let's Run It tier as well. Shout out to you guys. How is everybody doing on a Tuesday night? I will give as many shout outs as possible as normal. Obviously, let me know where you're listening from. Look at there, Thomas. Appreciate that. Josh is the GOAT. No, the better actual truth to that is what Cool Rain said. He's the GOAT and you're the GOAT. So there you go. And everybody go follow. I mean, if you're not already subscribed, go subscribe to Thomas. Come on. He's getting to 50K. We're almost there. He's about to get married too. So, I mean, if you want to give him a wedding present, there's nothing better, honestly. Get him to 50K. We get him here a lot quicker that way. Justin to Hungry Dogs. Let's go. Everybody come members tonight. I'm in a good mood. I'm not gonna lie. I'm in a really good mood after the Smitty signing. Obviously, anybody who watched the video today, it's it's positive because we got Smitty for until 2028, and I'm giving away a Smitty jersey, by the way. So in case you somehow randomly missed that, there's a link in the description to the previous video. All you gotta do is click that, go type in Slim Reaper in the comments, and you're automatically entered to the jersey giveaway, which we're gonna do Friday night during the live stream. So make sure and enter that if you haven't already. It'll be the jersey of your choice. If you want Kelly Green, which is my personal preference, but, you want a blacked out jersey, you want a midnight green, a white one, whatever. Your pick. Fitness Warrior, what's up? Donald Martin, Redneck Football. Tequila Lester, his first, Let's Run It. Pablo Diablo, Go Birds. Sturdy, yep, unfortunately the Flyers are blowing it, but Michael H., the Phillies, at least they should win. Yep. Let's see. Got some others. Howie Roseman to GOAT. Hey, what's up? How's it going? Frank from Philly. Yes, I'm here. Finally, we went live. It's at times, just a little bit delayed. Tristan saying, "What's up, Josh? How's the fam?" I appreciate that. They're doing well. Just delayed slightly. So. But we're here. We're live on a Tuesday night. Lots to talk about. Curious to get the takes on everybody. How we feeling about Smitty? Of course, the natural question within some people and arguments or whatever is AJ and how that's going to be able to affect him or how that will affect the dynamic there. I loved hearing Smitty during the press conference. And I think, most of us already knew this. But like hearing Smitty's side of their best friends. They call each other every day. They hang out a ton during the regular season, even during the offseason some, whenever they're actually together. There's no, iron sharpens iron, so there's definitely that, and the competitive nature is phenomenal there, and you want that, which is, again, Smitty saying, hey, you want alphas out there. You want guys competing to be the alpha. There's nothing wrong with that. But I think him talking about like what it means for both of them and the fact that they still communicate regularly, they're best friends, they hang out all the time, there's really no issues. But of course, some people have to have something to talk about, so it naturally becomes a little bit of a, I wouldn't even say a story, but, something out there. Lorenzo, what's up from Washington State? How's it going? Josh Edmonds? I shortened it, but you and Tom are effing awesome. We appreciate that. Chris, good show. We also appreciate that. Spa City Chop, been rocking with Thomas since Chat Sports. Heck yeah. Again, Thomas got me started in on this, so, he deserves all the credit. If you haven't subscribed, you're missing out. You know that, but go ahead and do that. Get him to 50K. Would not be doing this without Thomas's, literally, we showed up at the NFC Championship game and had a blast, and 2 weeks, 3 weeks later, whatever it was, he's like, hey, man, you should start a YouTube channel. I didn't know anything about it. I'm still learning every single day, but knew absolutely nothing, and here we are. So appreciate Thomas, appreciate you guys, all the likes, all the subscriptions, and hanging out. So there you go. Frank just left a comment on the video. C. Newsom, ready for the Smitty jersey. Good luck to you. I think there's honestly, I believe there's 1,000 comments. There might be more than that at this point. I looked earlier and there was close to 1,000. It's probably over that. I think that might be the most amount of comments that I've had on a single video. So everyone wants the Smitty jersey, which is totally understandable. But I would say this is probably the least amount of odds in terms of giveaways that I've done so far that people are just signing up for. So we'll see. Good luck to you, though. Serenity listening from Atlanta. Howie Roseman to GOAT from Wilmington. David Ertz. Hey, Josh, how's the family? I appreciate that. Yep, they're doing well. We are very blessed. We had a recent hailstorm, though, so we're kind of dealing with some insurance stuff. But, other than that, doing really well. Kyle says, great show. Thank you. I believe is the name there. What's your prediction for the Eagles' win total next season? I've continued to say this, but for right now, until we see the draft and honestly, until we get much closer to the start of the regular season and truly get a better feel, I guess, for the team, like I'm very hopeful and I'm optimistic, but at the same time, I don't want to go like overboard. So I would probably lean towards it being like 11 wins. I feel fairly confident. I don't want to go, too optimistic. And I know some people always say that every single time that I do make that comment of 11. It's like, oh, it should be 12, 13, 14. Love the optimism on y'all's side, but I'm just not ready to quite get there. We'll see the draft. We'll see if there's some free agency moves, which is curious because, Howie Roseman, if you didn't catch the press conference, he had made the comment about free agency or about potential of what we could do. And it's interesting, again, speculation. Justin Simmons is kind of surprisingly still not signed. So, wondering what's actually going on there. Is he going to be able to sign? Will he sign anybody? But there's let's see, make sure to get this one thrown up here. But a comment, Jake Rabati had put up just the quotes from the presser, but Howie's saying the talent acquisition season is not going to stop after the draft. We're going to continue to look and try to get better. So we're the last team standing. It's kind of given, but still, like, the fact that he echoes it or says it, it's not necessarily impossible. Movie fan, as you see, one of the top commenters immediately after that says, go get Justin Simmons. So naturally, yeah, the speculation is, could Justin Simmons be a potential? Are you good? Maybe you feel the need there with the draft. But also, again, he mentioned the draft is for addressing long-term needs. If a player can help both now and later, that's a beautiful thing. So there you go. I think that's the natural inclination. Again, like Howie's mentioned it a number of times, we're getting younger on the defense, but he also wants to draft players that make an impact now and not necessarily as much of like a Nolan Smith if we can help it. Granted, you only have so many players that really come in day one and make those impacts. But, I think all of us would agree you need someone that is going to play very quickly. Steve Rose, what's up? Says draft next week. Super excited. Yes, I'm super pumped for that as well. I'm going to do another mock draft probably this weekend. So if anybody enjoyed it, if you didn't and you disagreed with my picks, that's totally fair. You are within your rights to have an opinion, obviously. But I'm going to do another one. That wasn't the most realistic sense. I was wanting to get a haul, basically. Kind of went into it thinking like, okay, if you trade back, you get some other draft picks, what's that going to look like? This next one I'll probably do, a little bit more realistic in a sense, and then I'll do a third final one before the draft, and that's always my like best prediction, what I think Howie's going to do, most realistic, trying to basically not be me and be Howie, put on my Howie cap. So to toot my own horn, like I did nail Nolan Smith and Jalen Carter, my final draft mock last year, and I've got proof of it. I got a picture and everything, but Jalen Carter was taken. I had to trade up much higher than we did in real life, but I still got Jalen Carter, and then I got Nolan Smith. So we'll see. If I could do that again, that'd be great. But nonetheless, we will have the mock draft. Thomas and I will be live, so a reminder for that as well. We'll be giving away a jersey. If you're not signed up for our NFL Draft League, there's a link in the description as well. Venmo or CashApp, any amount. The details, like I say, are in the description, and you're automatically entered in the league. You get to predict every pick in the first round. Whoever's the closest and gets the most picks correct will get a jersey of their choice. And just by entering into the league, you naturally get entered into the drawing for the randomized spinner to see who wins that jersey. So kind of multiple potential entries there. But again, you got to go Venmo or Cash App. So link in the description. Frank from Philly, bro, can we please just please for just a moment talk about how we really need to address this defense. It's stressing me out. What's your thoughts on this situation? I'm curious, like, what specifically is stressing you out? I know there's some holes, there's some question marks, but is it just kind of the broad sense, or is there anything in particular? Because I want to know, like, I'm curious, like, are we going to get And I think this is the question that everyone's asking themselves, but are we going to get a corner? How early? You assume we're going to get a corner, but how early are we going to get a corner? Linebacker, Edgerrin Cooper is the nonstop every single week, every single show. There's just the immediate guy talked about. If you can get him, that's great. Hassan Reddick is obviously not here. So, there's concerns with the pass rush, but I don't know. I'm cautiously optimistic. Like, I'm not going overboard on the defense. I'm with you in the sense of, and a lot of people of saying, yes, we need to go defense more heavily in this draft. But I'm kind of high on, Zach Bond. I think there's going to be a lot of potential there. Anthony DeBona and I talked about it in the most recent conversation that we had, I guess, about a week ago about Zach Bond. And that's who Anthony believes is kind of will end up or might already end up being the sleeper of free agency, because the comparison of Andrew Van Ginkel and what he brings to the table, how Howie likes him. There's naturally, Bryce Huff, obviously a big signing, so you expect big things from him. But I don't know. I would say the best way to characterize it, I suppose, is cautiously optimistic on the defense. And yes, hopefully you bolster that through the draft. But there's some different playmakers, whether it is, hopefully, in my mind, Quinyon Mitchell. Cooper DeJean could be available at 22. Nate Wiggins. Kool-Aid McKinstry, who's been brought on in a top 30 visit. Letu Latu, who was there today in Philly. The Eagles are doing their due diligence, certainly with edge and with corner. They're bringing in a ton of players, maybe more than would have been initially expected for top 30 visits. So it will be interesting to see who they go with the draft. But yeah, I'm curious. If you have any specifics to that, let me know, and I can talk through that also. I wanted to throw this up here while we're talking about it. But speaking of corner, Max Melton was at the NovaCare complex today. Shout out to Anthony DeBona, who had it first, as others may have piled on that report. But the Rutgers cornerback is in Philly, and not actually technically a top 30 visit, like Anthony said, because it's him going kind of the local school day or the local day. It doesn't count against the top 30 visit quota. So, but Max Melton, I mean, that dude on Philly, that would be pretty nice. I'm not gonna lie. I mocked in the most recent mock had Max Melton going to Philly, but I would be pretty pumped if we got Max Melton in the draft. You'd probably almost for sure have to do a trade back scenario, because it feels a little bit too early. Maybe not, but it feels a little bit too early with 50 or 53. But then there's no way he's going to be available at 121. I mean, you got to trade up, I guess, in that scenario. Trade back, get some more draft picks. But again, cool to see that he is there in Philly. He'll be there, I guess, again tomorrow with the local day. And then also another one. Anthony is working overtime, as he always does. But Jerzon Newton, the Eagles were at his pro day, as you see there. Matt Holland. Let's see if I can zoom in here. Maybe not. Let's see if it'll let me. Oh, there you go. Yeah. There he is. Matt Newton. Eagle Scout at the Illinois Pro Day. Jerzon Newton. Which is, it's noteworthy. Like Anthony points out there, because I don't think that he could be available at 22. In several mocks, he has been available. But do you pick interior defensive line that quickly? Possibly. You just picked it in so many drafts now. I wouldn't prefer that, but if he falls all the way to 22, it kind of feels like you might have to or need to take the value there with best player available. So we'll see. All right, let me get to some comments. Sorry, I went off on a couple different tangents. You're just catching up on some of the most recent news, but let me get to some of those. Frank Logue says, Josh, my adopted Philly brother. All right, I'll take that. Appreciate it, Frank. I will, you know what? I will buy you a beer if you're ever in Philly and we're there for the same game. How about that? I don't know which one I'm going to go to now because the Packers are in Brazil. So that's a whole nother story. I don't know if this is legit or not, but apparently, the story of the Corinthians arena and the rival wears green. So I did kind of a spoof on it and made a joke, and then people were thinking I was dead serious. Well, you don't know, because this is the Daily Mail. Is it legit? But there's rumors, I suppose, based on this report here, that the Eagles could be banned from wearing their home jerseys, the midnight green, because of that color being banned with the, what is it? Is it Palmeiras? Yeah, the intense rival with Corinthians. So, again, you feel like the NFL would have thought this through whenever they schedule it. Maybe not. I'd be shocked if this is the case, because then what? Like, you wait outside the stadium and like have jerseys confiscated? Do you not allow any Eagles fans to show up in midnight green? It would be so weird to have a game like that and then all of a sudden just limit the colors that you can wear, the jerseys that you can wear. I don't know. I could be dead wrong. To me, this seems like it's not going to be anything. It's going to end up being a nothing burger and just move on. But still kind of strange, to say the least. But Eagles fan says, is Kellen Moore bad? Because on YouTube I saw. I don't see anything else in that comment. I think he's great. So I don't know if there's anything else in that comment. Let me know. Poopy McGee says, do you think the Eagles will win the NFC? Oh, gosh, I don't know. I'd say I think we're going to win our division, but I don't want to get too confident. So at the moment, I would say I need to see more. That's probably a cop-out to your question, but I just need to and want to see more. Josh Edmonds starting my Eagles podcast in July. Sweet, man. Hope to have your support and tips on good, for sure. Hit me up on Twitter or Instagram. I'm kind of slow. Some people have done that before, and I apologize. I'm terrible about messages, but yeah, hit me up on Twitter if you're not following. It may like not immediately go through, but I'll get the notification. I'll check the message. So whatever I can do to help, for sure. Hunter Smith says, you and Thomas rock. Sub to both of y'all. Hello from England. What's up? It is very early in England, but appreciate you hanging out and appreciate the support. Oh, the further comment to that, Kellen Moore. People said, they said on the Cowboys, people on YouTube said he was bad. Yeah, there's always like, I don't know, criticism on both sides. And Cowboys fans, I've talked to like half of my friends who are like, oh, wow, that's an incredible signing. And then half that are like, are you kidding me? Like, you think that's going to be good with Kellen Moore? So I think it's a wait and see approach, honestly. Like, it matters with obviously the talent that you have, but if you just look at the grand scheme of Kellen Moore being offensive coordinator for the 4 years that he was in Dallas, I think it was 4 years, he was a top two, or he was a number two offense. Like, the Chiefs were the only better offense in the NFL. So, I mean, say what you will, you can knock someone or have some discrepancies or just some negatives anywhere. But, I mean, I'll gladly sign up for that versus, I mean, what was the alternative? We have a Nick Sirianni run offense. We have a Brian Johnson offense that we saw last season. I don't think anyone wants any more of that. So I'm not concerned. Totally understand if there is some, you want to see more. I still want to see more. Yeah, I mean, I got to see with this offense and with Jalen Hurts, how he's going to utilize Saquon Barkley, A.J. Brown, Smitty, everything there. But yeah, not near as concerned as some people. Donovan Wall, great show. Appreciate that. Terrence Brailsford says 13 wins. All right, again, I'm going to get to some of these comments. I'm sorry, I went off on a tangent, so we're way behind, but I'm going to hustle up. I'm going to catch up. Brandon Peck, what was the free agency signing? It's just the Justin Simmons talking consideration. He made a comment about Howie making a comment saying we're not done even after the draft. We're going to keep adding, whether it's looking for long-term or just guys basically that can help us be the last man standing, essentially win the Super Bowl. So then the speculation is Justin Simmons. Is that possible? Will he be here? But yeah, that's the one earlier. Let's see. Sean T wins the draft next Thursday. Yes, it is next Thursday at 8 p.m. Eastern. As Michael H said. There you go. Yep. Frank Logue, the draft is on your birthday. Heck yeah. He said, I told them I want to be left the hell alone on draft day. All right, man. Hopefully you get your wish. And hopefully, who do you want the Eagles to draft? I'm curious. Maybe you get your birthday wish there. Let me know. Josh Edmonds said, curious if KM will be able to mesh all of these offensive starters while getting QB1 back to elite form and hopefully seeing the complete field. I hope there's some serious motions like Niners offense. Yeah, there's I mean, there's no doubt it's got to be more, right? Like we saw nothing, and the level of competency was very minuscule from BJ and Sirianni. So the hope is that Sirianni's out of or kind of staying away from the offense, and same thing for the defense. He's just like, hey, coordinators, you got it. Now that might be a Jeffrey Lurie ultimatum and saying like, okay, hey, this is, we had our meeting. Make sure you do some changes here, but Nick, you need to just head coach. Just head coach and stay away from the offense or defense. I don't know. Maybe that happened. Maybe it didn't. But yeah, you need to let Kellen Moore run the show, which is kind of what they're doing right now. It's crazy that we're at the middle of April. We're less than 2 weeks away, or almost a week away from the draft. And the guys are starting within, the OTA's phase 1, basically some workouts, some lifting, team meetings, organization that way. No official drills or anything on the field. But yeah, you start implementing things, get used to the players, the coaches, meet everybody. I mean, heck, before we know it, it's going to be, training camp and preseason, regular season. Be here before you know it. Nate says, are we going to get a plug-and-play corner? I mean, I hope so. That's the ultimate hope. Steve O'Rose says the Cooper draft. Cooper DeJean, Edrin Cooper, Cooper Beebe. I would honestly, I'd be very happy if that's what happened. There's a couple other picks that, again, depending on where someone falls, not necessarily saying those are all of my favorite choices or that Cooper DeJean is my favorite choice in the first round, but if you land all 3 Coopers, that is a pretty good draft. Frank Dingus says the same thing. Frank from Philly says, I do know how he talked about corner today. That's true. He did. He talked about corner, saying that, it's important that you invest in the position, even though it hasn't been through the draft. He mentioned, like free agency signings, other acquisitions with trades. And, I guess more recently with Slay and Bradbury and how they came to the Eagles, and you're constantly trying to make the defense better. So that's great, believe that, everything else. But at the end of the day, like, it's been, 20 years? 20 years since it's happened in the first round? It's a long time. So we're past due. It is certainly time to draft a corner in the first round. Hopefully it happens. But yes, he did talk about that today. And I liked hearing him at least emphasize and say, hey, it's worth investing in and everything there. Let's see. Little G says Eagles new edge linebacker draft Georgia, Alabama, Texas, Oklahoma. Get some good players there, that's for sure. Donald Martin, what's up? Fanny from listening from Ohio. Appreciate that. Love hanging out with you and the cool kids. We appreciate that you're hanging out. Okay, let me get to the super chat here. David, dude, appreciate the 5 bombs. It's a great show. Hope the family is well. What's the logic with drafting wide receiver in the first? Keep seeing it on mocks. All the best, dude. Keep it up. Okay, again, appreciate it very much. I've seen it too. I've seen more. It feels like, I don't know if it's just the fact we're getting closer to the draft, or people have done so many mock drafts now that you got to like throw out other alternative solutions, or just like, what the heck, let's go ahead and see for wide receiver. That to me is kind of shocking. And I have seen it, to your point. Second round feels somewhat realistic. Now, first round, that's a terrible, that's a terrible choice. I'm sorry. I don't know what else to call it. Like, maybe there's a few out there that believe, hey, take a wide receiver in the first round, but you have to think long-term, whatever. You have the next couple years to not have to think about it. If AJ, or when is AJ's up for an extension, do you extend him? Do you have someone who can take over? Maybe. So I get the whole, let's plan ahead, but I'm with you. Like, the logic on that with the holes that you have, being able or needing to fill other areas of the team, it does not make a whole lot of sense to take a wide receiver in the first round. So, but again, I have seen that in mock drafts as well. It was interesting, too. I think Peter Schrager had Cooper DeJean in his mock draft. Which Schrager has been pretty on. Like, for people that follow Schrags, I mean, he's hit a high percentage of his mock drafts or predictions for multiple years. But he's also hit the Super Bowl prediction. Hasn't he hit the last 4 years or something? It's crazy. He's predicted at the start of the season, or right before the start of the season, who's going to be in the Super Bowl. And I'm pretty sure, I don't think I'm making this up here. I think it's the last 4 seasons that he's actually gotten that correct. So who knows? Cooper DeJean, that'd be pretty exciting. But I'm with you, David. Not a receiver. We don't need to go first round. You want to go second round? Ricky Pearsall, trade back and get more picks. Maybe a Johnny Wilson, Xavier Legette, Malachi Corley. Love all those names. Love all those options. But first round seems a little quick. Let's see here. There's also, and to that note, I'm going to get to some of the other comments, but I was going to throw this up here as well, talking about the draft picks and the importance of that. So this is going to be really small to read, so you may not be able to see all this, but I'll touch on it. But basically, Brooks Cabina had shared this from the Howie Roseman presser, and it's talking about the long-term view. And, again, sometimes it's not the sexiest pick to take offensive line or pick a backup very early. Not saying first round necessarily, but even if it's the second round. But Howie touched on that, and saying what the importance is for the team. I think it makes a ton of sense. And I'm sure we're all pretty much thinking in that same light, but basically to the effect of saying hey, look, you have multiple options for when you're drafting these players. You can wait until you have the need, and then you draft the player. And you can, kind of say, hey, this is how someone did it, versus you draft the player and let them be under the tutelage of someone for a full season or 2 or whatever. And so Cam Jurgens, he's gotten multiple years to learn from Jason Kelce and see what does the best player do? How do I need to train? How do I need to approach the game? Film study, whatever, anything and everything, you get to see that. And I don't know about y'all, but I think that's phenomenal, because personally, you got to show me. I'm a visual learner, so I need to see it. You can't tell me, or I'm just not going to pick it up. I think there's a lot of people like that. So I think it's much better. Not only does Howie draft ahead of schedule, right, for the need, so it's not, oh, wait till Lane Johnson's gone and then draft. It's, no, let's take care of Lane's replacement and let him, or whoever it is, let him be behind Lane and observe how he's a pro, what he's like as a pro. How do you become the player that Lane does? And then it's just kind of this revolving door of, okay, hey, you know what? Now it's his time to step up. You take over. It works well that way for a number of positions, not even just the Eagles, but take a look at some quarterbacks who've not been thrust into the role immediately, but you have time to sit behind and wait, and then all of a sudden you get your time to shine. Jordan Love's the first one that comes to mind because we're playing them week 1, but, Packers, it's Favre, Rodgers, Love. It seems to just kind of be that cycle that works. Not every time. I get it. It doesn't work every time, but I subscribe to the notion of it seems to be better in the sense of hey, you help out, you're able to learn. There's not pressure to immediately come in. You get acclimated to the speed of the game, and then you take it from there. So I thought it was really good. Well, let's see. Let me get to some of these other comments. Again, I was talking to some of those, but Jeremiah White, 55. Appreciate that, man. King TV, what's up? Says, hope the family well. You think Vic likes DeJean since he has an impact on the draft? Yeah, that's a good question. Good points you bring up too. Appreciate you tuning in. I think it's a huge, to your point, Vic has a definite impact, and he's in Howie's ear, like Howie's alluded to a number of times. But I would think he's got to. With the Vic Fangio defense and the way that he utilizes playmakers and loves that hybrid versatility, the first thing that I think of, and I've seen this from a number of people in the comment section, and also just watching film and other studies on the Fangio defense, but it's versatility is one of, if not the first words that comes up when you're talking about Fangio's scheme. And so if you got a guy that oh, hey, he could play corner, and if he struggles a little bit, then you could try to move him to safety, and you can rotate him around, and you can move him in different packages, and it can confuse the offense too, because you're well, we're not really sure where this dude's lining up. Is he going to be Is he going to be in the slot for a little bit? Is he going to be covering a receiver? Is he going to be back in the zone? It gives you a lot of other options. So sure, Cooper Jean, not the best when it comes to coverage and man-to-man skills. There's a little bit of limited part there, but it's I say a little limited. It's not like it's drastic. I mean, he could be a very good cornerback in this league, or you could shift him to safety, but I would have to imagine that DeJean is fairly high up there. I mean, obviously, they brought him in for a top 30 visit, so that kind of speaks for itself. But also, just the scheme fit. Anthony DeBona did a great article, too, if you haven't checked it out. Talked about that in one of the last videos as well. But, yeah, there's too much to like on him. Now, Deep Space brings up Andrew Phillips from Kentucky. That's a guy that Dane Brugler absolutely loved. I mentioned him on the show today. And it's funny because, it really matters which scouting reports you're going to, because, Dane Brugler's really high on Andrew Phillips, thinking he's second-round talent, lots of potential, physical corner, in the right place at a lot of times. The weaknesses or the gaps that he has in his game are very coachable and moldable, which is, that's positive. That's what we want from any draft prospect. But then you can go, look at Lance Zierlein, for example, or a couple other, the NFL Scout, a couple other scouting reports, and it's like there's confusion, on, I basically just saying, not really sure where to peg Andrew Phillips, because there is some potential, but then there's things at times where you kind of just scratch your head and going was that luck? Was that being in the right place? So I'm interested to see, and obviously that's the beauty of this draft as a whole, because we could talk about just about any prospect, and we're all going to have our own opinions. There's going to be argument. There's going to be, hopefully respectful, of people's opinions there, because you never know. Just as much as I think everyone's pinpointing and saying that dude's going to be a baller, and then all of a sudden they become a bust, or vice versa. We've all been in that space. But that's the best part about the draft. That's what makes it so exciting is, who are we going to draft? And then also, are they going to pan out? Now, we don't necessarily have as much of a luxury to go into this draft and, say, hey, we drafted all these guys and they're not really playing well. Howie's got a hit on this draft. Let's just say that. Not every pick, sure, but you got 3 picks inside the top 53. And as Ruben Frank pointed out, that's the first time in at least 30 years that that's happened for the Eagles, 3 picks inside the top 53. So capitalize on that, whether it's, again, maybe you get more picks from that. You trade back in the first round, or you try to trade back from one of those 53 and then get some other guys, because there feels like there's a ton of value to me in the 70 to 120 range, especially if you want interior offensive lineman, a guard in particular, or you want to go wide receiver, cornerback. There's a number of players. So it's going to be fascinating. I'm really excited to see that. Red Zone Productions asking what I think of Kool-Aid McKinstry. I'm not as high on him as some other people are. I'm not totally out on him, but there's a number of corners that I would take over him. And, but still, he's been brought in for a visit with Philly. Makes sense. I'm not going to hate it by all means. If you take Kool-Aid McKinstry in the first round, I will say that. It will not hate it. But I would take Quinyon Mitchell, obviously, Terron Arnold, probably Nate Wiggins over him, probably Cooper DeJean, and I'm trying to think who else. Is there any others? I think that'd be it. Yeah, so fifth option. Again, it's not bad. It's just he's a natural, I think was the best way to describe him, or what one scouting report said. But it's a little bit of a lack of athleticism. It's not crazy, but he's not elite athleticism. And a lot of times, that's especially the Howie MO, is you're searching for that athletic player, and then you mold them from there. So I'm kind of on the same sense of, if you can get someone else ahead of him, that's where I would go. But again, like I said, if he ends up in Philly, I'm not going to be upset, because you do need a cornerback who has a lot of potential for one, but also can be your guy to shut down the outside, like we've seen. And with Slay getting up there in age, I don't know who in their right mind is trusting anything with James Bradbury coming up this season, if he's even going to be on the roster. Now, the hope is that Keely Ringo has a lot of improvement, and might even, who knows, he might even win the starting job. But still, there's a lot of question marks and potential that you can get from the corner in this draft class, so I wouldn't hate it. Donovan Seward, what's up? Could you see us taking Edrin Cooper or Jeremiah Trotter for future security at the linebacker position? I'm not overly optimistic about Dean. Good question. That is, I hope, man, I really hope that we get Edrin Cooper. I've said it so many times on just about every live stream that we've done. But that is one of those that if he's available, I guess I should say this. If he's available and the Eagles are up and they do not take Edgerrin Cooper, like in the second round, if he's available at 50 and we do not take Edgerrin Cooper, it is going to be a massive miss. Now, time will tell whether or not that was, as bad as it'll seem, but the potential with Edgerrin Cooper there is way too much to pass up, especially to your point. Like, hey, I hope that Nakobe Dean becomes the guy. I hope that he plays well, he stays healthy, you can count on him, but there's a lot of question marks, and especially in Fangio's scheme and style, I love the bigger, athletic, physical linebacker and a guy who could play really good in coverage like Edgerrin Cooper. Plus, let's not forget, too, he had 8 sacks last season. So there's a ton to me that I love about Edgerrin Cooper's game. If it's not him, honestly, it's Edgerrin Cooper for me first, but if it's not him, it's Junior Colson. Like, it's Junior Colson ahead of Jeremiah Trotter, Peyton Wilson ahead of Jeremiah Trotter. I just know scheme fit-wise, he's probably like the 4th option that I would go with there for the Eagles. He can be fine. I'm not saying he's bad in coverage. I just feel like size and versatility and where that Fangio scheme fits, it just, I like it a lot more with those other options. So, I will be screaming for those of you that hang out on draft night. I will be very furious if Edgerrin Cooper is available and we do not take him. But it does feel like you have to trade up early in the second round to get Cooper. And I don't know. Will Howie do that? I think the first round will be telling. If Howie trades up in the first round, I think it's unlikely he's going to trade up again in the second. But if he trades back and acquires a couple picks, then all of a sudden I'll be going, well, okay, hey, hang on. This is possible now. We might be getting Edgerrin Cooper in the early second round. Let's see. Fitness Warrior. Hey, Josh, what do you talk about the Zoom call for the Hungry Dogs membership? See what okay, I appreciate that. Not a plant, but I appreciate it. Yeah, just a reminder, for anybody Hungry Dogs tier and higher with the memberships, last Friday of every month, we hang out for an hour, and it's just kind of Eagles news, draft talk, networking. We had some guys that live close in Atlanta, actually, and be able to kind of network that way. So it's just a way for us to interact, a little bit more of a video conference style, I suppose, using Zoom. So hanging out there and having a good time as always. The members get extra entries into the giveaways that we have during the regular season. So the longer you've been a member, the more entries you get when we have the ticket giveaways and all that. So there's the quick plug and everything. But I appreciate that. Yeah. Okay, let me get to some of these others. I think missed a few as well. Let's see. It is Full Send Daily. Hey, it's 4 months. Congrats. Reached the 4-month mark of memberships. And saying, just want to say thank you for what you do for us. Dude, I appreciate it. No, you guys are the best. It is all the support, everything else. And again, y'all know, like, if we disagree, that's perfectly fine. I do not claim to be the end-all, be-all, or know everything. And that is, hopefully there's a very much of a given on that. And anyone who's watched even a couple of shows realizes that point. But we have fun. We talk about the Eagles news, what's going on, speculation, and really, what could we possibly do? Throw out a take, get y'all's thoughts, but y'all are the best. I really appreciate that. Red Zone Production says the same. Love the vids. You and Thomas Mott. Jay Sanchez says Howie Vision. C. Newsom says somehow I can't see you screaming and furious. Okay, that seems unlikely, I know, but for sure, if you see me at an Eagles game during some of the live streams, being in front of a camera is a little bit weird. So sometimes it's maybe somewhat subdued, but I've gotten there. At a game in person, it will for sure happen. On the golf course, definitely. So there's a few spots, but it's maybe not as likely as some other instances. I will say that. But yes, when I was there, the last time in Philly was at the Dolphins game, the Kelly Green. There was quite a bit of screaming, and as Thomas can attest, because we were both there with my wife and his fiance. But when Nolan Smith got the sack, there was a lot of, it was, I guess, joyful screaming in that sense, but a lot of yelling and screaming that took place there. So. Donnie, what's up? Says, who is Howie hinting at? That's a good question. Yeah, I don't know 100%, but that was the speculation of whenever he said they're not done, and in his presser today, talking about free agency signings, always looking to make the team better, be the last team standing, and then people on Twitter started talking about, well, Justin Simmons, he's still not signed. Would Howie look into that? Haven't officially gotten a shooting down of that notion from Howie, so I don't know. It'll be interesting as well. Does he go that route of a free agent or of a free agent for the safety spot? Now, Sidney Brown, he looks great. If you guys didn't see him starting out OTAs or kind of the Eagles, promo vid or whatever, like the kind of the hype vid of showing back up to the NovaCare complex, but literally just got a sleeve on, and that's about it. I think we got a picture here I can pull up if anybody missed it from the most recent video, but let's see, where's that? I mean, he's looking pretty solid. I mean, this is just a pick, but that's about all we have to go off of. Let's see. Yeah, there you go. Probably, I think, maybe a brace there. But, I mean, the initial thought or the report was that it'd be like October that he would be back. And, I mean, I would just judging by where he's at and his being optimistic about returning, the timeline and everything else, seems reasonable. He said that he'd be back for the regular season or be good to go. So I wouldn't doubt it. I mean, knowing this dude's personality and the way that he attacks everything. So hopefully that's the case. But yeah, that brings up the question again of like, okay, do you go after another safety or do you stay put and say, no, we're going to sign somewhere else? It definitely feels like from Howie's comment of there's more that we're doing in free agency and we're always looking to get better and improve the team, that you're going to see at least a couple more signings. I would be shocked if you don't. Probably not before the draft, because I think this is like a, hey, let's get into the draft here. But yet, if Justin Simmons' price comes down, probably at this point it won't, because most likely it's on both sides. He's going to wait and see, okay, which teams are able to fill holes. If they're not in the draft, then maybe it becomes more viable. Say, hey, let's reach out to Justin in his camp, see if you might bring him in. But yes, I think either way, you're going to certainly see a signing from Howie Roseman after that. Fitness asking, do you think players believe more in last year's coaching staff than this year's coaching staff? DC, OC, and position coaches. That's a good question. I would hope that they believe more in this coaching staff. Certainly the way the season ended, like they believe more in this coaching staff currently. But at the start of the season, I don't know. I mean, you're coming off of a Super Bowl appearance. You have a little bit of a revolving door, but it's also like, hey, we just got to the Super Bowl. Like we can do this. Like this will be fine. Yeah, I would say they probably believe more in the group that we have now versus last year. I certainly do. Like Red Zone Productions asked, what do I think of Vic Fangio and Kellen Moore? I'm very, very high on both those guys. They're going to change things drastically. It's also like, to me, it's the resume builder because, you could take this for not even professional sports, really. You could take it for a lot of things, like just in life in general, like at your job. If you have someone who's done something for a long time, they just naturally have the street cred. They have the reputation, the resume. They can bring it and be like, hey, look, I've done this successfully for a number of years. And so you kind of walk in already having that trust. Now, they need to earn the respect, but you do have that trust saying, okay, you've proven it. Maybe not here, but you've proven it elsewhere. So you just buy into it naturally. That would be my thought of where the players are at. You say you've got a veteran presence in Fangio. He knows how to get players better. It's probably, we heard the knock or the reports of like Miami players not liking Fangio's style and the way that he coaches, and he demands a lot of it out of his players and stuff like that. I could see where veterans would be possibly upset or might be a little irritating if they have a certain way of doing things, and then you got this other guy who's demanding a lot, keeping you there over past hours and or at least requesting that you're sticking around really, really long into the night. But for a younger player, like I'm just thinking about Nolan Smith, for example. If I'm Nolan Smith and I got Fangio here, I'm like, okay, Didn't have the season that I wanted to. I think that's fair to say. I don't think that Nolan would say he had the season he would have preferred for his rookie year. It was fine, I guess, but he needs to be much better, and I'm sure that he would say that he agrees. But you got Fangio and this opportunity now to get better. So it strikes me as like, or Nolan strikes me as a guy who's going to be like, heck yeah. Like, okay, tell me, like, what do I need to learn? Whether it's the playbook, the scheme, the style, getting better with specific pass rushing moves, if we're kind of getting more moves in general. But I've got to believe that they go into it now saying, no, this is not a unproven Sean Desai who's done it once, but it's kind of like, was it great? We don't really know with the Bears. I mean, it was, 27th, I think. So I don't think players look at that and say, yeah, he exactly knows what he's doing. And then, we hear all these other rumored reports of Desai not getting along with the players, not able to build a relationship with them really well and things like that. So it's kind of like a tandem there of how poorly that was. And then Brian Johnson, I believe, he probably had more buy-in initially, but it might have been, just like, okay, hey, he hasn't done it before, or could be the combination of Sirianni. But either way, it's like, okay, BJ's gone. Sirianni hopefully is going to be backing off. And you'll say Kellen Moore, take over. You've led a number 2 offense for 4 years, the OC at Dallas. LA was not as good, but you had a ton of injuries. So I'm hopeful. Jay says it can't get worse. That's true. But I'm very excited about it. White Boy, what do you think of Andrew Phillips? Yeah, I talked about him just a second ago, but I like the way that he plays. I like the physicality. I don't know if he falls to the Eagles. I wouldn't take him personally if it's 50 or 53. If the Eagles trade back and they have a pick somewhere around like 90 maybe, super late, or I guess not super late, later third round, I wouldn't mind it there. But we'll see. He's like 5'10", 5'11". It's interesting. I think I said in the video today, I might have said like 6 foot, but it's weird because it depends on what site you go to. Like one site has him listed as 6 foot, one has him at 5'10", the other one has it at 5'11". So, it's kind of a crapshoot, honestly, whenever you're searching for like draft picks profiles and everything there. Second part of that question, though, you think we could trade a 2025 second round pick for Micah Parsons? Absolutely not. No. It'd be great if you could, if that's all he'd cost. 2025 second round pick, I would do it in a heartbeat. Frank says, yeah, Howie's not trading since he can sign him later. I don't know. Let's see. Josh, it's funny how they complain about him, but they just had their best recent year with him. That's true. That's a totally fair point. Yeah. What Fangio brings. Sometimes it's just, the work that's required to be great, and some people are cool with it and others are not. And, no pain, no gain, as they say. Other question, who would I rather have, Andrew Phillips or Max Melton? Probably Max Melton. I mean, my most recent mock draft, I was sitting there, I can't remember now off the top of my head. I think it was 80, pick 80, something like that. And I had the option between Max Melton or Andrew Phillips. I took Max Melton. I feel like that's where I would go. Both guys, you got to, get them coached up a little bit. There's some areas of the game that you want some refinedness, but if you're going to, if that's a word, refinedness. But anyway, but I'd say probably more so with a Max Melton than Andrew Phillips. Either way, I'd be happy with one of those guys, depending on where you select them. I'm not quite up to that second round range like some people have put them in the mock drafts, but there is potential there. Frank, stop it. Logan, let's see. Where did you get the neon sign? There's a link actually in the description. If you go down and look in the description, I put it there. It's crazy expensive, so just be prepared. If you click on that link, it's way, and just disclaimer, it's way more expensive than whenever I purchased it. So I don't know if me getting it and then having the link there shot up the prices, supply demand, or what, but it's quite a bit more than whenever I purchased it. So. Let's see. Fanny saying, is Isaiah Rodgers still not reinstated? I heard two separate reports. I don't know. I'm curious to hear which reports. The only thing that I've heard so far is they're still waiting on that. I have not heard or seen any official reports, anyone with anything, I guess, valid as far as, he's back, he's good to go. So as far as I know, and the latest that I've seen or heard, he's waiting on the league to issue that reinstatement and come back to the Eagles, or I guess come to the Eagles, however we frame that up. He hasn't officially been with the Eagles yet, but still, like, he's posted on all of his social medias. He's like, I'm ready, time's ticking, hype videos, workout videos in Eagles gear, everything else. Like, I'm super pumped to get Isaiah Rodgers on this roster. I think it's like every single week I just about have to remind myself, because I'm going through the depth chart and the list of the team and everything else there, and I'm like, and even in the mock drafts, I'll be like, oh, hey, let's draft this guy, let's get this corner to the team, and then I have to kind of remind myself, oh yeah, there's Isaiah Rodgers still at that point. So it would be nice to get him in the building. I am kind of questioning why it's taking so long. But I will say I'm not at the concerned level. Maybe that's crazy. Maybe I should be, because it's taken quite a while to get the reinstatement. But surely he's going to get reinstated. I don't know the full details of it. He claims it was, I think, gambling for family members, or there was friends or something that were texting him. It wasn't even for himself, but it was just at the Colts facility. I get the NFL likes to set an example and, be harsh with the gambling and everything else, yet they're cool with other aspects of financial gain, but we won't go there. But yeah, it'll shock me if it is a suspension that he does not get reinstated this year. So we'll see. The hope would be sooner rather than later. Fitness War, yeah, agrees on Max Melton. There you go. Yeah, C. Newsom went to the light the other night. Yeah, I'm telling you, it is crazy expensive. It was not that expensive whenever I was there before. Yeah, I appreciate that. I'm going to be a little careful with what I'm reading on here. Although I've been known to read just about anything from a teleprompter. Those of you that have seen some live shows and other comments on here. So just be warned. Jay Sanchez says, who's going to the Rams game in LA? Anybody going to the Rams? Fitness. I'm surprised no one asked about Rodgers at the press conference. Yeah, that's a good point. You'd have thought that somebody's going to ask about that. I don't know. It is weird. Yeah, Logan, you just checked out the sign. I told you it is. It is crazy expensive for that now. Unless there's something else from that report, quite honestly. I mean, yeah, $50. It is a big big investment there. $50 for costs you what, a year? So even if he's making, a couple million, $50 costs him a couple million, does seem pretty drastic. It's not like he's making Shohei Ohtani bets or anything like that. Okay, wow. LJ, appreciate the super chat. Cowgirls and whiners choke more than. Yep. That they do. Appreciate the two. Speaking of the Cowboys, where is that report from Schefter? There you go. The Schefter report. CeeDee Lamb not expected to attend Dallas's offseason program, which was on Monday yesterday, obviously, but awaiting on the new contract to replace the one scheduled to pay him a fully guaranteed 17.2 basically for the 5th year. I mean, it's really just the reason and example of like why Howie is so great at what he does. Unfortunately, there's people out there that want to be the Eagles and would love to pay their players, but all in means a lot of different things to a lot of different teams. Unfortunately, to Jerry Jones and the Cowboys, that does not mean you're trying to win a Super Bowl. It's something else, I suppose, because they can't get a deal done with Dak. They can't get a deal done with CeeDee Lamb. You can't pay your players ahead of time. You're behind schedule. So it is pretty strange, but comical that there's hardly anything that they're able to do or that they do in free agency. Let's see this one here. Ismail, appreciate it. Appreciate the two. Says, I hope Eagles make a trade for, speaking of two, PS2. That would be a lot of fun. It's gonna cost a lot. I mean, I know that the Broncos are possibly looking to get rid of him, trade everything there. But I mean, you're gonna have to what, like a couple first round picks, probably, like this year, next one. I think it's unlikely. I wouldn't mind it, but again, you got to pay players. You do have the cap space, but you kind of question, how much is they going to cost? Honestly, and this may be crazy, but if you can get a first round corner in this draft, depending on who falls to 22, or even if you trade up for like 16, 17, I think that's a better option than PS2 because of the contract. You're gonna have someone on a rookie contract with a lot of potential there, and I mean, I'm hopeful for Christian Parker, like the defensive backs coordinator or secondary coordinator. He's the guy who coached up Surtain, Justin Simmons, has a lot of experience working with guys at the NFL level and transitioning from college to pro. So I think that there's a lot to like, and he's familiar with Fangio's scheme. So to me, that's probably the better option just in terms of like long term. Yet again, I think that, sure, if you said like what makes this better today, better chance to win a Super Bowl in a one season span, yeah, no, I don't think anybody's going to argue that PS2 is much better than any cornerback that you draft in the draft or in the first round. But I don't know. It's hard because it's a game of long term, short term. You win now, try to win now, and also help the future and not get strapped and be like the Cowboys are. But that's another story because they don't have a GM that's worth anything or efficient there. But some of these comments here, wow. Yeah, that's true. I've seen some of these also. I'm. It's got to be incorrect. I am seeing that it's showing 4 people. I think 4 or 7 people. It kind of keeps fluctuating. There's no way that that's actually legit. Maybe it is, and if there's just like 7 of us, then cool. We're all hanging out, having a good time. But it feels like there's more just based on the comments here. Not a whole lot of thoughts shared here for the other situation. These are... I appreciate that, Fitness. Yeah, I mean, there's just some topics that, like we'll keep it relatively on the Eagles. But yeah, I see some of the comments there. Devontae, what's up, man? It's always great to see you. How you feeling mentally and physically? I appreciate it. You ask almost every single time. That means a lot. So I do appreciate it. Doing well. Feeling good. Mentally and physically, we're doing well. Been working out a decent amount too, so that helps. But we're great. Enjoying this weather right now because it's going to be blazing hot in probably about a month, but getting out with the family and everything else. Very blessed. Hope you are too. Kramer says Cowboys are drafting linebacker Cooper, and then Josh throws the microphone. Yeah, I can't actually throw this because it's attached, but I might throw something. Like if I could grab, I don't know, like I've got the remote here. I might throw the remote possibly. We'll see. I won't be happy, that's for sure. Philly Duncan, what's up? Appreciate you joining. You're one of, well, it says there's 11. There's way more than that, but appreciate you hanging out. No Drop asks, what do you think the likelihood is that they even grab a cornerback in the first round? That's a good question. I really hope that it's more than a 50% chance. Michael's saying 50-50 that they do or don't. Realistically, let's see. Let me look this up. I think I can. What are the Eagles' odds to draft in the first round? I know they have that, but am I going to be able to find that easily or not? Not sure if I will. Let's see if we can. Draft team specials. Here we go. Maybe. Yeah. Let's see. Let's throw this up here. I think that'll work. There it is. So the Eagles to draft. This is. Hang on. Let me change this screen real quick. That might be better. Let's zoom in here. There we go. Eagles first drafted player. So you just, curious question of what are the odds? I'll give you the official odds here. I do like to, occasionally place a bet here or there. It's plus 140 offensive line and plus 140 corner, which is interesting because the offensive lineman has been the clear-cut favorite for, I think, almost the entire offseason. I don't know if it's changed, but now it's even. So I think it's fairly likely. Now, you have defensive line or edge at plus 200. So these are kind of your 3 choices, which I don't think is very shocking. Certainly not offensive line, defensive line. Like that's kind of a given. The funny thing here, though, that I'm thinking is like defensive line edge plus 200 versus linebacker plus 4,000. I mean, most of us, I think, can understand the difference between that, but it would be funny if you get someone who's kind of that tweener there and, someone's like, no, that's a linebacker. That's not an edge. It's, anyway, these 3 seem like the most likely naturally because of, what we know about Howie, the Eagles, and then you see the odds there. But, I mean, realistically, I would love to say that it's like a corner 60%, 70%, something like that. But yeah, like 50% probably feels, that might even be a little bit high. Maybe that's just me like trying to prepare myself in case it doesn't happen. But just, the fact that it hasn't happened in 20 years, drafting a corner that early, and we're at 22, there's going to be a couple guys available, but it's just tough. Fitness Warrior. Nick doesn't have a job because it was basically a Howie Roseman press conference. Oh my gosh. Nate, let's see. Good question. Probably another 20 or 30 minutes is my guess. We'll see. Yeah, asking how long we're hanging out. But that'd be my guess, though. Yes, good point. We don't know for sure when I'm going to be summoned, and we will certainly, in this stream and everything else. But for now, we're good. That's a plan. We'll see. Another 20-ish or 30 minutes, maybe. Dylan, what's up? Says, if Quinton Mitchell is gone, what's your top 5 cornerbacks after him if Howie decides to go O-line first round? Well, that is a very good question. Let's see. Let's do a little interactive here because why not? We usually do this on Fridays, but let's do a quick interactive here with the Eagles as if we're in a mock draft. So let's just start the draft and say, to your point, let's say it's offensive line, right? So we'll say here's the draft. I'm just going to go really quickly. Say we get offensive line. J.C. Latham's available. Take him at 22. It's going to speed up. I don't know why that just happened. Speed up to 50. So let's look at corner. All right. Honestly, to me, and again, maybe I'm crazy, but knowing the Eagles' needs, knowing who we want and everything else, at 50, it makes a whole lot of sense to me to draft if he's still available. Now, in almost every mock draft, he is available, but I just don't know if on actual draft night, Edgerrin Cooper is going to hang around by this point. Now, if he's available, without question, there's no doubt in my mind. You draft Edgerrin Cooper, move down to 53. This is where the cornerback position, there's guys that you could get. I know TJ Tampa, Andrew Phillips, Max Melton, Kyrie Jackson, Renato Green, Kalen Carson. Like, there's tons of options here. I would probably say, maybe they don't trade back and you just go ahead and say, hey, let's draft someone. To me, I'd probably have Max Melton over Andrew Phillips. Yet again, you see, like, rank-wise, he's above, and he continues to move up the draft boards and gradings and everything else. So possibly that's an option. But if you took offensive line and you took Edgerrin Cooper at 50, it kind of makes a lot of sense to see if you can trade back. Obviously, we don't have any trades here, so for the sake of this argument, there's nowhere to go. But I kind of like if you could move back, let's say like 20 picks, 15 or 20 picks, get an extra draft pick in a later round. Let's say it's like a 3rd or 4th round pick, and you move back those couple of spots. Maybe Andrew Phillips is still available. He probably wouldn't be, but Max Melton could potentially 15 picks from here. That's like 68-ish. So at 72, somewhere in that range. That I like more because, again, you're acquiring another pick to take later, and you get Max Melton. So then that gives you someone, around, I don't know, a pick around close to 100, something like that. And then you could take your pick on receiver, which there's lots of options here, whether it's Anaya Smith, if he's somehow still available, Johnny Wilson, Malachi Corley, maybe. He'll probably be gone well before then. But that would be probably my preference is a Max Melton scenario, which I would say, again, that probably is why Howie Roseman is, naturally you're going to bring guys in, the local schools, take advantage of that. But I don't think that it's just hey, for the heck of it, he's coming in to visit with the Eagles. Like, there's legit interest in Max Melton, and you do play all the scenarios, the potentials of what could happen on draft night, but I think that they're doing their due diligence because there's a fairly strong likelihood that Howie Roseman says, you know what, hey, let's trade back and acquire some more draft picks, and then you can take advantage of the value that's in, like the late second round, early third round, or even third round in general, and then, pick up a couple other guys. So, yeah, that would probably be Max Melton. You say top 5 cornerbacks. Yeah, Max Melton, maybe Renardo Green and Kyrie Jackson. I know I think they brought in Kalen Carson, or they took a look at him at least. So anyway, several different ones. School Guy, what's up? Does love watching the live streams. We appreciate that. Appreciate you hanging out. YouTube is still broken with the number of people watching on the stream because there's a lot more than 3. Let's see. Let's go, Jacob. Welcome to Hungry Dogs. Appreciate it, dude. You are in the Hungry Dogs tier, which means you are into the Zoom calls. Last Friday of every month, I send out the Zoom link on the community page. So just a quick note out there, but all Hungry Dogs and up, hang out, talk birds, a little networking, extra entries into the giveaways for the regular season, which again, the longer that you're a member, the more entries that you have, because it's kind of an accumulative effect. So appreciate the support, man. And welcome to the Hungry Dogs. Uncle 3 times Xavier Worthy for plus 2,200. That would be... I mean, is anybody... You taking that bet plus 2,200? You really think that you're going to go there? Vigilant Tracker, appreciate that. Oh, Kramer was saying, don't draft Cooper. I can't help it, man. I apologize. There's not a way to... There's not a way for me to do a draft, honestly, and not pay. I guess that's a fair point. Okay, you know what? Here's what we'll do. For people that are hanging out on Friday night, you guys know, we do the Friday night hangout, mock draft, talk about the Eagles news and everything else. And we're going to give away the Smitty jersey. So if you've not gotten in on the giveaway, link in the description, go to the last video, type in Slim Reaper on that comment section, not this one. It always happens every time I say this, and I'll get Slim Reaper comments. But on the other video, the link in the description, we'll give away the jersey Friday night. And then, yeah, I'll do a mock draft that does not include Edgerrin Cooper for once. Even though I will hate not doing that. We will do it to see other potential options in case we don't actually get Edgerrin Cooper. Oh, I do love the sound of the cheesesteaks, though. Host the neighbors and griddle up some cheesesteaks. That is maybe not a better way as far as the draft night. Donnie's Pizza and Wings. There you go. We will be live streaming during the draft, so probably wings is not... It's going to have to be something quick. I don't know, because it's at 8 Eastern... Yeah, I guess I'll probably just eat beforehand. I was going to say, I think last year was maybe during it and trying to fit that in, but wings is not possible. Yes, like Dylan says, not drafting Cooper is going to break my heart. That is... without a doubt, if we don't get Edgerrin Cooper, like I will be able to. Here, I'll say this: I'll be able to live with it if he's just not an option. Like if he's not available in the draft because he got taken early, we just didn't have that selection. I'll live with it. I'll move on. But if he's available and we don't take him, then there's a significant issue. Michael, every draft I do, doesn't matter what site, Edgerrin Cooper is always available at 50, and I always take him. I'm right there with you. I don't know how you can't. No, I understand it, Kramer. It's all good. Yeah, you're right. It is nice to see other perspectives and not have to keep it on the same one. So Appreciate it, Jake. Or Jacob. I don't know if you go by Jake at all. I just shortened it, but I appreciate it. Red Zone Productions, I think I already answered, and you asked the exact same question of Kellen Moore and Vic Fangio. Very, very high on them. I think we already talked about that, though. Yeah, you heard that in the background? I think that was my 2-year-old. We're getting close. We're not summoned yet, but we're getting close. Maybe another 10 or 15 minutes, and we will call it. Tostitos pizza bites or Hot Pockets? No, that is... Sorry, that can't happen. Jake says, I need Cooper, but I love Junior Colson as well. I'm right there with you. If you don't get him, Junior Colson, not a bad alternative. We're getting closer. Kramer asking, when will the coverage start Thursday? I probably can't watch, but will it be posted? Yes, as far as, I don't know, I'm making sure I'm answering or understanding that correctly. Are you saying just our live stream, or are you just talking about the draft in general? I mean, I think there'd be like a replay of the draft, but as far as the live stream coverage, yeah, we'll probably be live for, I don't know, 3 hours. How long does the first round take? We'll probably go live 15 minutes before or so. So 7:45 Eastern, and then cover the draft coverage, and then a little recap afterwards, give away some jerseys, and then we'll be live, for the following night as well. So, but yeah, it will definitely be posted after the fact if you want to catch it. Michael asking, are we doing all 7 rounds? I mean, we can get back into that one if you want. Honestly, that was just for a case in point, I suppose. Oh, okay. Live stream coverage. All right. I was just making sure. Yeah. Live stream coverage will. Fitness Warrior asking, would I be disappointed if the Eagles drafted Edgerrin Cooper in the first round? Not necessarily. The only way, though, is if they were to trade back. If you trade back and tell me that it was really late first round, then I'd be okay with it. If you keep your current picks and you take him at 22, I love him, but that's just it's too early for me. You got to go something else. Steve Rose says Peyton Wilson's good, just has injury history. That's true. That's reason for me that keeps me away from him. Justin, appreciate the 5 bomb, says, I know I asked before, but have you looked into James Williams from Miami? Yes, I have. I appreciate it. You, I think we're the first one that brought it up, but I've looked into him now. Had him on, I think, the mock draft on Friday night, if I'm not mistaken. But yes, his versatility, ability for probably a linebacker option, honestly, for Fangio's system. I mistakenly took 3 linebackers in that draft, I believe. I took him, and then I took Edgerrin Cooper, I took James Williams, and then I took, I think, Jalen Ford of Texas. And then afterwards, I was like, oh, shoot, I took Williams, who's basically a linebacker. But yes, I have looked into him. I think he could be a good fit for sure within Fangio, like I said. So what he brings to the table, the size, the versatility, it seems like, I mean, I don't know, you take a look at a lot of these other guys, the fact that he's going to be dropping guys into coverage quite a bit anyway, from the linebacker position, the edge/pass rusher position, the more guys that you have that have the versatility, I think is a good thing. And so, yeah, if you talk about can play safety, can drop back into coverage, can play in the box, there's a lot to like with Williams' game. So I did. I had not watched near as much, but certainly did afterward. No, all good though, Kramer. I totally understand. If you're hosting, you got people over, all good. If you end up watching after the fact, that that's fine too. But if you're not able to, then that is also perfectly fine. So no worries. If you're part of the giveaway, you don't have to be present either. So like if you've joined the draft league or signed up or done anything on that side, you don't have to be present to win. We will post on our pages and everything else. So as far as winning that jersey on that side, but no, all good. Fitness Warrior, last question. Why do you think Edgerrin Cooper is better than Junior Colson? Oh, good question. I think for me, it's a little bit more of that versatility that he brings as far as the pass rusher. I think coverage-wise that they both present some similar traits, but it's just athleticism-wise. I don't know. There's just I feel like there's a lot of like Edgerrin Cooper has a ton of production, but it also seems like he's got a lot of untapped potential. Not that Junior Colson doesn't, but to me, I'm like I look at their games and I say Junior Colson, he's solid. He would be a good option for the Eagles, but Edgerrin Cooper looks like he could be the difference maker. And if you get him with Fangio's system, like I've been talking about, you can move him around so many different places. You can ask him to rush the passer. He got 8 sacks last season. He has an ability to get to the quarterback. He has an ability within coverage, his length, his athleticism, size, and then also within stopping the run. Yeah, there's a little bit of over pursuit, a little bit of not reading the holes correctly and making some mistakes, but it's not as glaring to me. And I say, I think he can learn that and get a little bit more acclimated on that side of his game. But I think there's just a much higher ceiling, I suppose, is maybe the best way to say it. A much higher ceiling for Edgerrin Cooper than Junior Colson. But again, I'll say, if you don't get Edgerrin Cooper, I would be very happy with Junior Colson. Andrew Meyer will be tuning in to the draft coverage. Says best in the business for Birds news and content. I appreciate that. Heck yeah. Well, we'll see you on Thursday night. It's crazy. Literally almost a week away. 8 p.m. Eastern. 7:45 p.m. Eastern, I guess. We'll go live a little bit earlier. LA Kid, how's it going? Says, I know it won't happen, but I love Dallas Turner. Pipe dream, I know. It would be fun, yes, but it seems like it would take quite a bit. Frank Cooper DeJean will definitely go in the late first, early second after his pro day. Yeah, I'll be surprised if he doesn't go first round. If it's not until the second round, someone got to steal from Cooper DeJean. I'll be shocked if he does not go first round. Jacob says, do you think we may take Worthy or another wide receiver first round? Because Howie said that he likes to fix the holes in free agency, take the best player on the board. But I think we need more defensive help. And then also not saying Worthy's a bad, just want your opinion. Yeah, a good question. I think there was a other comment earlier about like the rumored wide receiver interest or mock drafts that have wide receivers, things like that. It would be shocking if we went receiver in the first round. It'd be a terrible mistake. There's just no way in my mind. I know it's Howie Roseman. I know crazy things can happen. I shouldn't say there's no way because I said that about Saquon Barkley and look what happened. But like it just really feels like that's not likely. Who knows? But I am with you. You need defensive help. It seems like it'll be, I would still hold to, I think it's going to be offensive line. But, it could be a corner. That'd be great. A wide receiver seems incredibly unlikely. Especially, I would just say, like, take a look. You take a look at the talent, right, in the wide receiver room. Very deep class. So you don't have to get your receiver in the first round. There's lots of value. If you really want to take a receiver, there's lots of value at your 50 or 53. You could take one of them there. Or, again, like we were talking about earlier, you could trade back and get one of your guys like a Malachi Corley. Johnny Wilson should still be available, depending on how far you trade back, but you should still have him as an option. or even waiting until 121, possibly. Like Anaya Smith may even be available there. I think he's like, ranked like 120, something like that on the board. So I think there's just too many options of other playmakers that you can get at that position and not have to give up so much or utilize so much draft capital on a position that, yes, is important, and yes, you want to think long term, but yeah, I would just say that seems like it'd be a mistake with some of the holes that we need on the defense and got to fill in some of the other areas. Jake, Dion has me looking all the way to 2025 and imagining Travis Hunter in Philly. Yeah, because he's dictating, I guess. He's kind of in a weird, or I guess a somewhat similar way. Felt like LeVar Ball, and trying to just hype up the guys and saying, like, "Oh, hey, we're going here. This is where we're getting drafted by. This is who it's going to be." But I don't know. That's crazy. That's 2025. We're so far away. Fitness work, no problem. Yep, I agree. I'm awake. Very deep class. Good 10 to 15. Yep. There's lots of options there. Antonio. Yep, Corley, Malachi Corley flying up the boards. That's very true. He's continuing to get a lot of hype, and he'll probably be, if I had to guess, he'd probably be like second round, late second. Feels like that's where he is. So you might not have the option of drafting him, but again, if you're trading back and you get one pick in the early third round and you acquire another pick, you could get a Johnny Wilson. But on this offense, yeah, you get a wide receiver 3 like a Malachi Corley and Kellen Moore who can draw up plays to take advantage of his ability. I mean, I'm just going to have fun saying the Yak King. Like, that's how it'll be all the time. Every broadcast, live stream, video talking about Malachi Corley. If he's in Philly, it'll be the Yak King. Frank B said, "How would you feel if we go first 3 picks, all defense?" I personally, I'd be fine with that. It would depend. I'd say depends on like what you're looking at in the draft. If you passed on someone who's a potential talent or someone that you need, but yeah, like the holes that we have, potential for the group, you want to get younger. That's what Howie said a number of times. I'd be fine if you wanted to take what you say. Let's say cornerback first pick, linebacker next pick, and what, defensive line, edge, third pick. I wouldn't hate it. That'd be fine. Somebody does, though. I just got to dislike after saying that. So that's fine. You're entitled to your opinion. McConkey at 50. I don't think so. He's like what, late or early second round, I think, in several mocks. We'll see. Naughty or nice, yeah. If they don't go defense, teams will have our high-powered offense off the field for 8 to 10 minute sustained drives against us. I mean, we're hopeful we're a little better than last season, but yeah, you need a couple, I'd say reinforcements, I suppose. And maybe the best way to frame that up. But reinforcements to help out Fangio, the rest of the group. There's plenty offensive firepower at this point. So yeah, like you don't need to draft as early on offense, but again, like we're saying, there's lots of depth later in the draft in the second and third round. So maybe you get something there. Frank B, dream picks that could be likely: Latu, Edgerrin Cooper, and Max Melton. If we got all 3 of those, I would be pretty pumped. But yeah, I guess you'd go Latu first round, Edgerrin Cooper second round, and then probably have to either take Max Melton there, or that could be like a trade back, 15 slots or so, and then take Max Melton. Not too bad. Kramer, no problems. Thanks again for streaming. Have to run. Absolutely. Appreciate you hanging out. I am honestly probably about to have to run myself because wife is going to need some help putting the kiddos to bed, and we will probably go another couple more questions, and then I'll call it quits because I'm going to need to run and go help. But shout out to everybody for hanging out tonight. Again, reminder, we will be live Friday night, which is where we'll give away the Smitty jersey. Yep, would love Isaac Guerendo, 6 foot 221 from Louisville. Ran a 4.33 at the combine in the 4th, maybe even the 5th round. Kyle says offensive line, defensive line, linebacker, first 3 picks, and then sign Justin Simmons. You never know. You never know. Howie's done crazier things. The fact that it's taking longer, it does. I mean, it's promising. To a certain extent, it's promising. That might not be the optimum word there, but the fact that he hasn't signed means that his value is going down, his contract's worth, and maybe if Howie can get something done. So I don't know. Percentage-wise, feels like, 10% chance maybe, if I had to put a number on it? 10% chance that you get Simmons? Who knows? Frank. Running game does not exist. Yeah. Alex Cruz, what's up? IBH, yes, looks like the count did correct. It was way off for a long time. Nothing on Surtain. Haven't heard anything, haven't seen anything. I know there's speculation for Broncos needing to clean house or get some more cap space or whatever, but it's going to take a lot. If they were to trade him, it just seems very unlikely. Talked about that a little bit ago for another question that came through, but nothing officially on Surtain, and I feel like if Howie's going to go with a corner and invest, you just take a cornerback in the first round, even if that means trade up a little bit and go get a guy, 16, 17, whatever. Probably the better long-term option because, again, you got him on the rookie contract versus having to pay someone. Because if you trade them, you're getting rid of draft capital, and you got to re-up on the contract to PS2. So he'd be awesome. Be awesome to see in the Kelly Green. But I that's another one of those moves. It's like Justin Simmons. If I say that's 10%, Patrick Surtain. I mean, gosh, I don't know. Like that's 0.5%. Seems very, very unlikely. Andrew, appreciate the 2, man. Says, you think James Bradberry can really bounce back? Oh, gosh. I'm probably not the right person to ask this question because there is very little hope for James Bradberry in my mind. I mean, maybe I should give him a little bit more of the benefit of the doubt because, the season with Desai and the whole defense, and then Patricia comes on board, and just everything was a mess. Very few players you could point out and say, oh, hey, they had actually a pretty good season on defense. But I don't know. I mean, there's just so many things with his game that, schematically, again, it probably didn't help him, but he's out of position so many times. You can tell he's clearly lacking confidence, which, it's understandable because of the mistakes that he made. But, I mean, as shocking as it was to go from all-pro form to like one of the worst, I don't know the actual grading that I'm not sure that I looked at it, but for sure one of the worst starting cornerbacks in the NFL, if not the worst. I mean, you think he reversed that trend? You go right back to all pro? Like, granted, we don't need him to be even at that level. Like if he has just a solid season, he's kind of, middle of the pack for corners. I think that would be a win, but I don't know. I'm not as confident as some. I've seen a few comments, not a whole lot, but I've seen a few comments of saying James Bradberry is going to bounce back. He's going to have a solid season. He's going to make a Pro Bowl. I've seen some of those comments there. I love the optimism. Fangio will help him for sure. He'll be better just because of that. And, maybe he can find something. To me, it's all mental though. I mean, if he can find that confidence, then I think that he'll be all right. I think the physical ability for JB, I don't know that really changed much. Yes, he's getting older, but he's not over the hill, and the way he plays the game is not, I don't know, not as predicated on his athletic ability or like his speed as some corners are. If he has the right mindset, then I think he'll be okay. But to me, I mean, again, like since the Super Bowl, he just never looked right. He never looked right all of last season. It just got worse and worse. So I don't know. I mean, mental toughness, mental strength is really important. Maybe he can get his head on straight. Maybe the help of change of scenery in terms of defensive coordinator, new one coming in, will help. But I'm not on the optimism train, I suppose, for as unlike some people. I'm awake says he'll rebound though. Fitness saying James Bradbury just didn't get cooked; he got seared. That's true. And I mean, look, hey, I appreciate the optimism, but I'm awake. Are you saying Bradbury's a zone cornerback? He's perfect for Vic. That was the system you were trying to run last year. I mean, yes, I know they're not good defensive coordinator at all, but that's still the same system you were trying to run. So I don't know. I do hope that he is. Yes, like Frank said, the Broncos are not parting with Surtain. Someone would have to make them an offer they can't refuse. Although, you know, Howie Roseman has been made to make some of those offers before. So we can't take it completely out. Nate, yeah, 10%. That's a fair question, I guess. If I'm saying 10% chance for us, who has the best chance? I don't know. The Niners apparently are reported to be poking around Justin Simmons. So, you know, if you want to put the Niners up there, 20% chance, 25% chance, and then the remaining, you know, whatever, 70, 65% chance just spread around between 10 different teams. I don't know. I'm just, these are random numbers I'm throwing out here, but it's a fair point, I guess. So I'm saying 10%. The most recent team, though, like I say, that's been linked to Justin Simmons or, you know, poking around, I think was the official wording on that. Poking around Justin Simmons deal was the 49ers. So we'll see. Probably nothing until after the draft would be my guess. Okay, like I said, I'm awake says Vic's the Godfather. He'll fix Bradbury. I hope he does. No drop. Bradbury backed by CJ in Vic's scheme. I'm hoping that gives him more confidence. It's a fair point. Having a good safety is much better for the cornerbacking and be able to have that confidence. So, yeah, maybe it was just the fact that he's looking back there and going, all right, I got Justin Simmons and I got Reed Blankenship. And then, you know, Simmons goes down and, all right, I got Terrell Edmonds and I got Reed Blankenship. Then Reed Blankenship goes down and got Terrell Edmonds, and then Justin Simmons is down, and Tristan McCollum played a game. And then, you know, obviously Byard was not what we all hoped him to be. So that's true. He's got a much better safety play. CJ is hopefully the difference maker there. Ted saying, I think Blankenship proved enough to earn the start. Not his fault. The weak corners didn't help at all. Yeah, I mean, it goes back and forth. I mean, you kind of make the argument, you know, was it the corners play? Was it the safety play? Was it a combination? Or also you throw in the defensive coordinator and just a lack of confidence for everybody? So it'll be interesting, but I do feel like, I mean, if I had to put money on it or just, you know, predict for right now, Reed's probably starting. I mean, CJ's for sure starting, but Reed's probably starting alongside him. You know, I mean, they believe in him. Not a crazy amount of money. They didn't spend ridiculous as far as the extension to Blankenship, but they did pay him a little bit, and I do believe that there's a fair amount of belief in Reed and what he can do. And let's not forget, he did play with a groin injury for, what was it, like the last 4 weeks of the season? Something like that. And he was talking about like it was kind of re-aggravating and causing him problems at times, stuff like that. But we didn't really know much because, you know, he'd pop up on an injury report and say he's questionable, and all of a sudden he's good to go for game time. So, but it's always interesting because you never know, like, yeah, everyone's banged up. No one's 100% by the end of the season, but you really don't know a lot of times how banged up they are until after the season. And then you look back and go, my gosh, they played with that? Like that was that type of an injury? I mean, everyone except for Jalen Hurts. We'll never know to what extent the knee injury was or was not. But yeah, he got the surgery. Should be good. So we'll see. Trent, what's up, man? I'm doing well. Hope you are too. Did not give away the Smitty jersey. No, so good question. But I'm about to probably end the stream because I need to go help my wife. So you got here just in time to get the details on the Smitty jersey, and then I'm probably going to have to sign off. But yeah, Smitty jersey, Friday night live stream. Going to give that away then for anybody who just typed in Slim Reaper on the other video, not this one. The link in the description. Click on that link. Takes you to my last video. All you got to do is type in Slim Reaper on the comment section. The reason being, I'm not going to sift through 1,000 comments. It goes to an automatic randomized spinner, and we will spin that wheel on Friday night. So for anybody that wants to get in, make sure and do that. And oh yeah, and I may have missed this on the last live stream if you mentioned it. Do you have a leg injury? I see Fitness Warrior saying, I hope your leg is healing well. Yeah, dude, hopefully you're okay. I missed that. If you mentioned that last one, that's my bad. I totally did not see that on the last stream. So hopefully you're good. Jake saying having CJ back there will be big for Slay and Bradbury. I remember Slay talking about the trust. Totally, yeah. Saying, is Julio Jones coming back? Probably not. They gave away his jersey number. I know it's, just for one season, but it's writing on the wall. If you're giving away a jersey number to a different player, Paris Campbell taking 80. So most likely no. All right. I got to call it quits. So got to go help the wife. Appreciate you guys as always for hanging out. Again, we will do this Friday night hangout, give away the Smitty jersey Friday night, mock drafts, more news, more videos to come throughout the week. And also we will have the draft live coverage, streaming, not at the draft, obviously, but streaming myself and Thomas Mott. If you've not gotten in on the NFL draft league, there's, details in the description. So any donation, any amount, Venmo or Cash App, you're automatically in. I'll send you the link. And, person who predicts the most amount of correct picks for the first round gets any jersey of their choice, and just by entering, you automatically get entered into a randomized drawing. So there you go. The housekeeping details and everything else for the giveaways. But appreciate you guys as always. Have a awesome night, and more videos soon. Until next time, go Birds.